Well, good morning, everyone. This is Michael here for a little bit of walking and talking this morning. So I thought I would talk about this particular statement here. You have value, regardless. Regardless of the title you hold, regardless of your past, regardless of how much money you earn, regardless of whether you've raised a family or had kids or not. So many other things that we tend to lump into our value. And the truth is, you are valuable because you are. You are valuable because you are. Think about that for a moment. Without producing something, without saying, hey, mommy, daddy, God, society, whoever, look at what I've done. Look at what I've accomplished, right? Without that, when you strip those things away, what do you feel? Do you recognize the value, the worth of you just because? Just because I am, right? This is why I continually go back to the fact that you are the temple. That this here, these are called your temples. Because the I am resides within. And even if you don't believe that, that's okay. You're still valuable. We've been set up to believe that we're only valuable if you actually have something to offer. What have you contributed? Right? If you're like me, you've worked for years and years. What do they have every single year? Performance review. We're going to give you a performance review. We're going to tell you to do your best all the time, right? But then nobody ever gets a perfect highest score possible on the performance review. And even when they do give you a really good performance review and you're a high performer, right? You make the company a lot of money. You're responsible, you're accountable, you're dependable, you do all the things, right? You're a high performer. And you get a 1.1% raise, because that's what high performers get. And they measure these different things, right? Supposedly they have these metrics. You hear a lot about metrics when you or in a workplace like that with performance reviews and things. And yet so much of our life is constructed around that. Grades in school are the same way, right? And I'm not saying grades are bad. I'm not saying performance reviews are bad or anything like that. But I'm saying there's a lot of things that say, did you meet the mark or didn't you meet the mark? And if you don't meet the mark, well, you know, there's a question of your value there. How much are you really contributing? Are you really trying? And a simpler question could be, or maybe the more appropriate question could be, well, I don't know. Maybe you're not doing so great in this because it's not your thing. My uncle did not do well in school at all. Didn't like school. But you know what he could do? He could build damn near anything. Right? That was his natural thing. Academics wasn't his strong suit. He didn't have any interest in it. It's not that he couldn't do it. He didn't care. Didn't interest him. What interested him was building things. And he could build and fix so many things so easily, things I could never just sit down and figure out and do. And I've been, lots of times when I make videos, sometimes they're just things that come up in the moment. Sometimes they're just things, hey, I want to share. Other times I make a video because I've had an awareness myself. And I figure, well, I'll just walk and talk about it. And the awareness that I had this morning, I've been noticed that I've been feeling really kind of agitated lately. And I started paying attention to where my mind was. And my mind was in the past a lot. And we're talking the distant past, 10 plus years ago. But then it was going to the past, and it was linking things from the past, and it was kind of bringing them forward, and it was permeating into my existence now. And therefore, I was becoming frustrated with the things that were going on now. And I couldn't quite place where this was coming from, so I just began to notice. And a statement came this morning while I was doing some Tai Chi and meditation. I'm just standing there doing the slow movement. Suddenly a statement came through that said, "You are feeling as though, for whatever reason, there is a part of you, not the entirety of my being, but there's a part of you that is feeling and questioning, like, where's your value?" And I've been doing a lot of different things and helping in a lot of different ways recently, both for myself and both for others. And yet there was a statement that came through that says, "You don't believe that you're of value because you're not bringing in a paycheck right now. And this has gone for a while, it was okay. But now that it's gone as long as it has, you're starting to question a few things that you haven't really questioned before." And when I've been not working before, that was due to health issues. So your entire focus, my entire focus at that time, was on the health issue. Well, there's no health issues now, which was the intentional reason why I took time off to enjoy some things. And I said, okay, maybe that's true. Because I felt into it and I felt like, you know what? If I did attain a job right now and started having a paycheck come in like I had before, I could feel it in my body and in my bones. I was like, oh yeah, there's a part of me that represents value, right? Look how much money I've earned. Look how much I did. Look what I've accomplished here. Even if everything I did at work ended up being scrapped because they changed all the dynamics of the project again, which they do many, many times, and the work was all scrapped, doesn't matter. Still did what I needed to do, got done what needed to be done, and look, I got a nice little paycheck for it, showing me, reflecting back to me my value. And then I got to thinking, well, how does this tie to the past? Well, this ties to the past because my mind was going back, looking and thinking and feeling of all of the ways that I had not valued myself in the past. And there was grief there. There was grief that I had put up with so much for so long and believed people's words over their blatant contradictory actions and behaviors that were consistent and at times extremely egregious. So I looked at that this morning and thought, well, isn't that interesting? All these things appear to be linked together somehow, but it comes back to my value. It comes back to, what am I using to interpret my value? Now, there are large aspects and parts of me that absolutely know without a doubt I am valuable just because I am. But this particular part of self that was coming up doesn't quite believe that, and has been frustrated with the fact that I am not getting that reflection in the way that that part of self is used to getting that reflection. I'm getting a reflection, I'm getting feedback, I'm getting other things that are relaying to me that I am valuable, but I am discounting those things in some regards because those things aren't enough, because they aren't the measure. They aren't the same things by which my value has been measured before in those areas. This is why I love, personal growth, transformation, knowing thyself. Because I could have just let it go and let it go and let it go and let it keep rolling. The snowball would just keep building snow as it's rolling along, right? Packing more snow onto it, getting bigger and bigger and bigger. But it reaches a point where you have to take a moment and you have to say, what is going on here? You're not trying to figure it out with your head necessarily. You're opening and you're allowing and you're saying, I'm going to sit here, I'm going to do some Tai Chi. I'm going to do some breathing. I'm going to sit in my chair. I'm going to sit outside in the grass, right? Whatever it is. But you turn off all the inputs and you go within and you open. You may ask a question. What's going on here? And you just let it be. Or maybe you don't. Maybe you just open and you work on releasing your mind. One of the things I was doing this morning was a movement called the tiger. And I was imagining, right, bringing these energies that were within me that felt like, I don't want this there right now. I want to release this. And I was bringing those up. And then I was bringing those all the way down. And slapping my hands on the ground as I came down. And when I did that, I was bringing those up. I was coming up, bringing up the energy, pulling those energies out. And then letting go as I brought those down. And exhaling as I brought those down. And smashing them into the ground, releasing them. Doesn't matter if you can make it to the ground all the way or not doing an exercise like that. What matters is your intent, right? What matters is where you're placing your attention. And it was after I'd done this movement and I had moved on into some nice breathing and centering exercises, and I was gathering up, bringing up and gathering up all this great energy, bringing it down through my center here, and then inhaling as my arm came out again, gathering up all this wonderful energy and light, and then bringing that down as I exhale, bringing that down right here, right into my heart center. And that's when this quote came through. that there's a part of me saying, I don't feel like I'm valued. I don't feel like I'm valued right now because, you know, we're not able to, the same mechanisms that were there for so long are not telling us in a transactional, in a performative way that I'm valuable anymore. And I don't know what to do. And so then it's my part, my job, just to listen to that part of self. Validate that part of self. Assure that part of self just like you would a small child. Ah, okay, well thank you for showing yourself. Thank you for allowing me to see what it is that's really, really bothering you right now. Thank you for showing me that. And also, what if you're valuable just because you're valuable? And then having a conversation with that part of self, a heartfelt conversation. Maybe listing all of the ways that we are valuable. Not by accomplishing things, not by doing certain things, but simply because we are who we are. Because we are eternal. And this here is just another part of the ride, another part of the game of life. So today, if you're feeling like something is off, take a few moments. Right? Doesn't have to be anything big or fancy. But the one thing I have learned is that if you don't take the time to slow down, that's also why I love Tai Chi. If you don't take the time to slow down and you just keep going and keep going and keep going and keep going and keep doing, then it's very hard for these parts of self to reveal themselves because there's no white space for them to come through. They're kind of hiding and ducking and not wanting to be seen because of all of the other activity that's going on. But when you begin to breathe, you're slowing down and you're breathing, right? Both of those things are so valuable because you're interrupting the pattern that so many of us have been taught. The pattern that so many of us have been taught is that we must continue to go and go and go and go and push and grind and hustle. And most of that is just pure ridiculousness. And we have to prove our worth. We have to prove that we're a high performer. We have to prove that so we can get a 1% raise, right? It's like, good Lord, what are the low performers getting? A 0.2% raise? The amount of money you make does not define your value. The things that you accomplish does not define your value. Whether you've had a family or raised a family or not does not define your value. No matter what society says in terms of things that you must contribute, or maybe it's your credit score or some other ridiculous thing, right? These do not define your value. You are valuable simply because you are. And if you don't believe that, that's okay. And if you don't believe that, if you feel something in your body or thoughts come through in your mind that's like, I don't like that. I don't know about that. That's okay. But then I encourage you to just sit with yourself, put your hands over your heart, and just say, I am valuable simply because I am. I am valuable simply because I am. That's it. It is as easy as that. I am worthy simply because I am. And what a wonderful thing. And if you want to take it a next level, do mirror gazing with it. Look at yourself in the mirror. Do a soft focus of your eyes, not a glare. Just a soft, open focus of your eyes. Look into your own eyes in the mirror and say, I am valuable. I am worthy. Simply because I am. And if you want to make it so that you feel more inclusive of all of your parts of self, because we are made up of many different parts of self, right? You can say to yourself as you look in the mirror, we are valuable. We are worthy just because we are. Or you can take that a step further and speak to whatever part of yourself, or maybe your inner child, as you were doing this gazing into the mirror. And do it for like 30 seconds or a minute. And notice how your body feels. Notice what thoughts come through. Notice if your energy in your body seems to shift. And as always, be sure to keep breathing nice and slow. So, I hope that this has been of some value today for you. And it has been absolutely stupendous out here this morning. It's been a little bit cooler these last couple of days. I'm absolutely enjoying it. And as always, blessings and love to each of you.